This is real for me. I need this. This is a therapy for me.
Before we dive in, a quick but important note. We are not licensed mental health professionals or medical experts. The conversations that we have on this podcast are based on our personal experiences, thoughts, and opinions. Nothing shared here is intended to be taken as medical advice, a diagnosis, or a substitute for professional help. If you are struggling or need support, please reach out to a qualified mental health provider or medical professional. Well, hi, Hailey. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal. I am so happy we were able to finally get this going. It's been such a long time in the journey to get it going.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to be back talking to you again, but for a different podcast this time.
Yeah, I know. We had you on my previous podcast, which still exists. It's just kind of on hold, but This one definitely has a lot more purpose than the other one did. The other one, not that it didn't have purpose, but this one is geared towards something really important, which is mental health and stuff. And especially with you being a professional athlete, it's really especially with how young you are in the professional athlete field, it's such a big thing that, I don't know, asking someone who's found such big success at such an early age is definitely there's a lot of things to kind of get into with doing that.
So how old are you?
I'm 22 years old.
Okay. That's amazing.
I think you were what, 19 when we last talked?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I feel so old now.
No, you're not old. Oh my God.
22. Okay. So what's happened since we last talked? When you were 19, I know that you were going to, or you said something about going to the Olympics. You hadn't gone to the Olympics yet, but you were going to the Olympics. Well, kind of catch us up what's happened since our last conversation.
So around that time 3 years ago, we didn't know if cheer was going to be in the Olympics or not for 2024. And it ended up not being one of the sports selected, which was really unfortunate. But I did get to compete at Worlds and the World University Games in Croatia, the Pan American Championship. I got to basically do the Olympics without being in the Olympics for my sport. So cheer, unfortunately, was not one of the sports selected for the Olympics due to just a number of reasons that are entirely, out of our control as athletes. But we're hoping for 2032, and that's kind of my mission and goal right now, being kind of a representative of the sport, is I'm gonna get people to start asking the right questions, why are we not in the Olympics? What do we need to do to get us there? And that's kind of been what my journey has been like. And then aside from that, 3 years ago, I think I was at Trinity Valley still, and I was talking to you about Netflix a lot because this was right after the Netflix show had come out for cheer.
That's right.
And yes, so since then, I got recruited to Weber State, which is a big D1 university in Utah. And at the time, I didn't know this, but it's actually the best university in the world for cheerleading. And I kind of just got lucky, I guess, ending up in Utah, because all of the U.S. national team, all of the people that represent, our country at the highest caliber that you can in our sport come pretty much from Utah and a couple other places. But Utah and the coaching we have there, the access, to physical trainers, their mental health therapists, all of that is what helps us be so successful at this college. And I've used a lot of the stuff I've learned from being at Weber to just kind of help me with my own stuff, and when you're at the level that we are in the sport now, there's not necessarily people that are holding your hand through a lot of stuff. You're having to figure out everything on your own. And yeah, like you said, being 22 and being young, it's really hard. And there's people on my team that are 37, and then I'm one of the youngest on the team. So it's definitely been challenging. But since then, athletically, I've become, I think I have the most partner stat titles now out of any flyer ever, which is super fun.
Holy shit.
I have 4 World Cups now and 2 NCAA national titles that were back-to-back while representing Weber. And I finally won Daytona, because I think when I was talking to you too, I had mentioned I had never won yet in cheerleading.
Yeah.
The college we were at, we were going against Navarro, And also at the time, Navarro and Trinity Valley were like the biggest rivals at this competition. But 3 years later now, all the Trinity Valley and Navarro people are at Weber. Like we all kind of joint forces. Yes. So now Weber, it's like an extremely dominating force to be reckoned with. And they've won 8 years in a row now. The last 2 since I've been on the team were grand champion titles, which mean like out of the whole entire competition, regardless of the division, if you're like small co-ed, large co-ed, D1, D1A, Weber had like the highest score in the whole competition the last 2 years in a row. So that's been amazing for like our industry as well. And then aside from that, I finally made the U.S. national team. So I've gotten to represent my country twice now at Worlds. And then like those other 2 competitions I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And then, now like my entire job is just traveling the world. I've gone to 15 countries, I think, since the last time we talked. And my whole journey is just trying to spread, inspire kids and help them learn all these hard lessons that I had to like learn on my own, and give them access to the coaching and stuff that they don't get access to, not living in America. And that's just kind of my whole purpose, is I really want people to see like what the future is and the potential could be with this sport. And I truly believe that like the first step to us getting there is addressing the things that are in the sport, which is lack of certain access to resources, like we were talking about with mental health, and taking away the stigma of like, if you have mental health problems, then you're an unreliable athlete. Because that's one of the biggest things we face being at like the highest caliber in sports, is when you go to your coach and tell them that you're having like anxiety or something, then at that point you're no longer a reliable athlete on the competition floor. And it's like, that's been one of the hardest things that us as an industry have had to deal with, for us to be actually taken seriously by the International Olympic Committee.
Really?
We don't have a scoring system. We don't have a governing body that is like unbiased across the board. Every single like cheerleading program or thing that you see, period, is run by the same company in person. So it doesn't matter if it's in China, Japan, America, if it's a high school, a college, an all-star, they are all run by the same person.
In the Olympic level?
Yeah, that's like what's keeping us from going to the Olympics.
So it's literally like that's like how it is for us in the film industry here. It's like all under like a lot of the major decisions, I feel like, are just due to like one singular organization or person or something. So that irritates me.
Well, how do you think that can be changed? You said that your job now and your purpose now is to like try to get the attention on the cheerleading sport, and so like you have to build your own like organization that's not biased. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say I'm necessarily trying to create an organization that's in direct competition with like the people that are in control, because this has been going on for 40 plus years. Like they alone are not a force to be reckoned with, and they have done a lot of positive for our sport. However, I just think that us as like an industry, we see one thing as like the pinnacle, when my brain and a couple other people's brains are like, it could be so much more, than just Worlds. Like, it's like, wow, I finally made like this team or that team. But then I'm like, baby, you could be an Olympic athlete right now. Like, you could be an Olympian. Like, that's just kind of how my brain thinks of it. And obviously every athlete growing up, like your goal as a person is to make it to the Olympics. Like, you train your entire life for that. And then to finally make it to like the top and realize like that there are like obstacles and people in positions of control that are like not helping us to their full potential of getting there. That's been very frustrating.
So you've pretty much gotten already to an equivalent level of like the Olympics for cheerleading then. Like,
yes. Yeah.
There was a thing that I heard about a little while ago called gold medalist syndrome or something equivalent to it. I'm not sure. Do you know what that is?
I haven't heard of that, actually, no.
So with gold medalist syndrome, it's basically where like the Olympic athletes, obviously they train their entire lives for whatever sport they're in the Olympics. They win the gold and stuff, but then the following 2 weeks or however long afterwards is like the worst depression ever because you've had so much endorphins, so much dopamine, so much just happiness and excitement stuff. You just did what you've set your entire career to do. And now there's almost like you'll never, like in your brain almost, you're kind of thinking like you'll never get to that high again. Is that something that you kind of dealt with in your like world competitions?
Absolutely. And a lot of it too came from directed from, I guess, my direct competitors as well. Because not only are we our biggest critics, so are other people. And yeah, like you said, that build up for the big competition, for just to give you an example of my year and what that looks like. So we train from July all the way until the very last week of April. And we only compete 3 times that whole year. So we have one competition if you qualify, which is a partner set competition, and that's at the very beginning of January. And then we have Daytona, which is the first week of April. And at Daytona is Weber's big competition and another partner set competition. And then we have Worlds, which is for the U.S. national team, and that's the last weekend of April. So that April month is exactly what you just said, and it explains that to the T. We devote our entire year to just the month of April. And once that's done, it's what's next? And you're going into summer. Training season suddenly stopped being an every single day, 6-hour-a-day thing. So the post-competition depression is 100% real. And I would say too, a lot of that has to do with all of us being adrenaline junkies. We get used to fighting fear on the daily. I have an extreme fear of heights, but my whole job is flying in my sport, Yeah, it's I don't even do elevators. I don't do not roller coasters, but what's that ride where you're in the swing?
Oh, the yo-yo? Here, at least here it's called the yo-yo.
Yeah, it's something like that. I don't do stationary rides that go really high.
That's the funniest thing.
Yes.
You won't go on those rides. You won't go on elevators, but you're in something that seems even more dangerous, which is you're being picked up by these 6-foot+ guys flying 10, 20 feet in the air. It's just the irony in that is so funny.
Absolutely. And and that kind of explains it. And that's also too, a big part of the mental health with athletes is we're so used to the what's next after competing, but what's next after you can't be an athlete anymore? Mm-hmm. What's next when you're no longer having a goal that you're striving to achieve every year? Because it's when there's no longer an athletic goal, that's a huge transition that so many people have to make, and it tears people apart. And luckily, college cheer kind of frames us and forces us to not put all of our eggs in one basket. We are all getting degrees, we all have careers and jobs we're striving for eventually. But that whole, what do I do when I can't flip anymore? Or when I'm 40 or 50 or 60, it's hard. And that's a big problem also with cheerleading is that we can't monetize our success because we're not on the Olympic platform. So there is no career for cheerleading like there is for gymnastics. It's once you're out of eligibility, you're done. And it's why are kids devoting their whole life for it to just end where I'm at right now?
Which is insane because you're only 22. So the fact that you've already gotten to that point,
I have 1 year left of eligibility and that's it. Yep.
Why is that?
So college, it's and this is the other weird thing is we follow NCAA rules, but we're not an NCAA sport. So that's why we can practice excessive hours, which are not allowed for NCAA. We're practicing 30, 40 hours a week for Utah Jazz, U.S. national team, Weber State, partner stunt, the list goes on. But if we were an NCAA sport, we would not be allowed to do that. It would be 3 hours, 3 times a week, and that's it. And we have to do the 5-year eligibility rule just because that's what NCAA does. So you get to touch the Daytona competition floor 5 times, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And I'm on year 4, so I have 1 more time to touch that mat for Weber, and I'm done with Weber. I can only do the U.S. national team and Utah Jazz after that.
Okay, so you still have a little bit of an actual career in cheerleading. It doesn't completely stop. It's just not being able to compete at that same level as before. you just have to go like NBA cheerleader route? Because are you still cheering for the Jazz?
Yes, I still do cheer for the Jazz, but like the pay for that, it's not something you can make a career out of.
Really?
And yes. And then to be on the U.S. national team, we have to pay over $2,000 a year.
Oh, you have to pay to be on the
We
national.
have to pay to be on the highest caliber of our sport. Yeah.
So you don't get paid at all from that.
So, nope, nothing. There's so much that goes into this that like doesn't make sense when you start asking those questions.
So do you think that since you're an athlete, do you get like sponsorships and things like that?
We do. We get some, but I guess a way I like to like compare it to other people is when you're like an influencer mom. Like say you're a mom with babies and you're an influencer mom. Like what famous moms are you competing against?
Mm-hmm.
And then you think about it, and there's not that many. Like you can't really think of an influencer mom. But when I am trying to get sponsored by Nike, I'm competing against Simone Biles, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, yes, I'm doing great for my niche, but because of the Olympics, because of these mainstream forms of entertainment that are highlighting these other sports, the money that is accessible to them is like quadruple what's accessible to us, when the only form of like streaming that we are seen on is a streaming service that's owned by the people that host all cheerleading all over the world, or ESPN, which is also like in partnership with the people that own cheerleading.
So with only being able to have like an eligible income then from the Jazz at that point, and like if you're on the U.S. national team, obviously like the sponsorship can possibly go towards that. So if like Nike were to sponsor you, it would be probably for, I'm guessing, the national sponsorship or the national team. But at that point,
it's more complicated than that, because the U.S. national team is sponsored by the people that own cheerleading.
oh shit, okay.
It's like they've monopolized the entire industry, if that makes sense. Like,
so what
the
is
music we use, the clothes we wear, the teams we're on, the competitions we compete at, the bids to go, all owned by the same person.
So then after that, like after you hit Daytona, after like you can't do it anymore, if say Nike or something was to sponsor you, what would they be sponsoring at that point? Because other than like you being a national or you being a cheerleader, and like maybe like, oh, we're sponsoring an NBA cheerleader, like at least in my head, like if I'm Nike and I'm sponsoring you, or if I'm sponsoring an athlete like Simone Biles, I know that she's still playing tennis, so I'm sponsoring a current tennis player.
Yeah.
What?
She's a gymnast.
Oh my! not tennis, gymnastics.
Yeah.
You know what I'm thinking of. Like if I'm sponsoring Simone Biles,
Serena Williams.
Yes, I'm thinking of Serena Williams.
Yes.
Thank you. But like if I'm sponsoring one of those athletes, I'm sponsoring them still being in it. Like if I'm sponsoring an NBA player, I'm sponsoring them currently being an NBA player, current fan base is currently following them. Obviously, I can kind of follow you as Hailey D'Lynn Smith, but if you're not like actually competing anymore, unless somehow you're like the number one cheerleader in the world and you gain the fan base that way, that kind of makes me wonder, like, where does the sponsorship even fit in at that point?
Exactly. And that's like where pretty much everyone in the industry struggles. Like it's extremely hard to make a career starting out as like a cheerleader. There's only like, I think 1 or 2 people that have ever done it in like the last 100 years that actually like used the platform that they were giving being an athlete and took it somewhere else. Like Santuan, he's on Wild and Out now. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of that,
Mm-hmm.
but he was like a huge cheerleader back in the day.
Really?
Like, all of us know who he is. Yeah. See, but the rest of the world doesn't look at him for cheer.
Right.
They look at him as that Santuan. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
The platform he was given and brought it somewhere else, and that's where he made all his money. It wasn't cheerleading. So that's kind of where we're lacking like the mainstream interest currently, is like there's no room for cheerleaders to make money off of simply being a cheerleader like there is for Simone Biles to make money off of being Simone Biles.
Right.
So in that, you kind of have to switch into being an influencer then, and you have been on the Netflix show. So did you see like a change in the public like eye after that Netflix show came out?
So, I actually was going into the season 3 of the Netflix show, but then we had a big scandal, so it never got aired. So I was never seen on season 1 or season 2.
No,
That was when I was in high school. Season 3 was my first year of college, and then it didn't get aired.
Oh no.
Yeah, just to clear that up.
Oh,
yeah, just to clear that
Okay.
up.
Oh, so you
I know.
unfortunately weren't able to be shown on Netflix then.
No, like I've had to build my entire platform just solely from being an athlete and trying to just do my best and try to influence the youth of our sport. And just, I guess being genuine is kind of what got me a following. Is like I
Right.
try to win to get followers. Like I just try to win for me because I'm devoting my whole life for this, but just my platform, I try to help the youth and the future of the world, be better people.
If I put myself in your shoes, from everything that you're saying, it would create such almost a feeling of anxiety with like, what do I do after that? Because like it seems like next year is like the last year you can hit Daytona, the last year like all of the sponsorships that you can pursue a career as like a Utah Jazz person, but then it's.
Yeah.
Are you like already trying to think about like, are you trying to become the influencer thing and then like trying to rebrand yourself, or are you trying to think that far ahead, or are you trying to just keep yourself as present as you can?
I've definitely been working on rebranding myself because I can still fit like athlete without being a cheerleader. Like there's the gym, there's lifting, there's nutrition and wellness, there's mental health. Like I can still coach. Like there's definitely another 10 years that I can bank on where I'm at today. But I'm definitely trying to reach out more into like an entertainment world because like for me, that's kind of why I think gymnastics is so interesting to the world is it's entertaining. And I feel like we as like a sport need to figure out a way to make cheerleading more entertaining for random people just to want to pay to go watch it, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, so we need to figure out like a way to do that. And that's kind of what I'm hoping to do within this year or the next couple of years is get us more into mainstream interest rather than just if you're a cheerleader, you watch these competitions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And as far as anxiety goes, like I've always lived with anxiety. I've had it because I've been a high caliber athlete since I was 10. Because I started out in the gymnastics realm and I did that from 2 years old to 18. So I was competing like by myself on events like at a very young age. And I've kind of learned to, I guess, find ways to ignore and cope with anxiety and feelings of stress because that is the only way to be successful. Like when you're competing, the people that win are often not always the best athlete. They're the ones with the best head on their shoulders. Like there's so many people that come to these competitions with talent galore. Like talent is not few and far between these days. What is few and far between though is having the right headspace when you're walking out onto the floor. And that's something that I've had to really learn and just figure out what works for me and try to spread that to other people, throughout the last couple of years.
Where did the battles, like what were the battles that you had to kind of deal with that? I know anxiety was like a big battle for you. Was there like anxiety specifically on certain things? And like, I know you're talking about like coping stuff.
Yeah.
Like what kind of coping, like how were you able to cope with that to be able to continue to do like push the anxiety away and stuff? Because I know I can't sometimes like, I can't just push anxiety away. If it's in my body and I have like a panic attack coming, I can't just like act like it's not there. It takes over my entire body. So I'm kind of curious how that works for you.
So I have really, really bad ADHD. And I used to take this ADHD medicine that would trigger my anxiety out the wazoo when I was doing high pressure situations, for example, competing. And there was like one very specific instance that you kind of explained where I was at a gymnastics competition and I lost complete control of my body. Like I was shaking. It almost was to the point where it was dangerous for me to do flips on a beam, while I can't even control my body. So one coping mechanism is I don't take my ADHD pill now for like 3 full weeks prior to competing at all. I like to make sure it's completely out of my system and that my body going into any competition is completely natural. So that means like, and I'm of legal age to drink. I'm 22 now. So that means no alcohol, nothing like that. Like weeks and weeks before I compete, I make sure there are no possible harmful substances that could trigger anxiety of any form. So that way, whenever I'm out there competing, I have a pinpointed reason of why I'm feeling a certain way, and I can't possibly think of anything else. Like, oh, I'm feeling bad because I was irresponsible because I went and drank last week. Like that would never happen because I'm just not letting it get to that point. It would be like, okay, I'm feeling like this because I care about being here, and I've worked so hard for this one moment, and like these feelings are natural and they're okay. Like telling my body that everything that I'm feeling is okay, that's one of the biggest coping mechanisms that I've learned is like when you try to resist something natural, that's when you start to freak out, and that's where paranoia comes. But if you accept and embrace those feelings, it becomes almost a normal state of mind, and your body can learn how to perform under those feelings, if that makes sense. So when I'm competing or practicing, for example, it's self-induced anxiety every single day of practice leading up to competitions. Like I'm picturing the band shell. I'm picturing what the people look like. Are they yelling at me? Are they wishing I'm going to fall? Are they cheering for me? Do people have high hopes for me? Like I'm inducing all of these high pressure thoughts, good and bad, every practice day. And I'm picturing the judges. I'm picturing how my face is going to be when I'm out there. So that way, when I go out there, it's literally just about having fun. Like it's a celebration. All of the work I've put in, all of the hard practices, the injuries, like it's starting to come to an end. And this is the last time that these people will ever see this type of routine. Like after this competition, the same routine will never get competed again, So I just try to make it as memorable as possible for myself and for everyone else. Because at the end of the day, like, a lot of people have always told me this, but I've never truly understood it until I've started accepting, that my time as a college athlete is coming to an end. When you're 50, you're not going to look at all your rings and trophies and look at it and remember that. You're going to remember the competition experience, the days where you were so scared, like the adrenaline, that you're going to miss all of those high emotional situations because like that eventually won't happen anymore. I'm sure it translates, to other career fields and stuff when you're an adult, but there is nothing that compares to like competing in front of thousands of people and performing a routine one time that you've worked 8 months to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a lot.
Definitely. Even just like the thought of that just like gives me anxiety because like when I'm in those super high pressure spots, my brain is mean, to say the least, to where it's like thinking of not just what could go wrong in that, but what could I do to fuck it up in that moment, in that, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like what if this happens? I could do that. Like for some reason, I'm thinking of like all these things that I could make everything go wrong where it could go wrong. And I'm like, oh shoot. Okay. I'm already trying to get rid of the anxiety in that moment. But now I'm also trying to battle these like stupid thoughts that are coming. Like, why would I even do that?
Right.
I think it's super healthy to have those thoughts because you're preparing yourself to, in case that happens. And if you didn't think about it and then it did go wrong, then you were not prepared for it. That happens to me a lot because I'm a camera operator in the film industry. And so like, we have shots that like, we only have one take. And like, if I screw it up, we can only do it once. And so it's high pressure. Like some of the sets are like a couple $1 million. So like each day is like $250,000. And if I screw it up, like, what am I going to do? So I always get really like scared and have a lot of anxiety about it. But I use it as like a driving force of like, okay, because I thought all of these things, I know I'm not going to make those mistakes.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you, you said that you thought about, you think about beforehand, like people yelling at you. Does that happen a lot?
I would say, like, I guess one thing I was told whenever I started being successful in this industry was if you don't have haters, then you're not popping off hard enough. Like that means so that's just kind of what I try to think of it now as. Like, and a lot of people too don't remember like the grind that I had to do to get here. Like I went 728 days without winning a single thing. Like I lost so many times. I fell 5 times publicly at these competitions where I got dropped on my head, my butt. I messed up. It was my fault. It was their fault. Like, people don't realize, like, the growth that it took me to get to this point. And, you know, sometimes when you're someone that's aspiring to be in that position, you have 2 options. You either get inspired or you get envious. And I've always been someone that's inspired by other people that are great. Like, I love watching the great of the greats do things. And, like, I look up to them and I ask them questions. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm wishing on their downfall.
Right.
And I think that that's also kind of where our industry is lacking, like, a lot, is there's so many people that have good ideas that can bring our sport truly, like, so far. And rather than everyone joining forces and backing that idea, people will create direct competitors with that idea or do things to try to tear it down. And that's kind of why we've been stagnant in this industry for so long. And yeah, just as far as like the yelling, absolutely. My first year at Trinity Valley was the first year that the show had just dropped. And there were people climbing up on the competition floor to be on that floor with us. And I'm trying to focus on my routine that I've been practicing, you know, and there's security pulling people off the stage. Like, but like, you can't let any of that affect you because at the end of the day, you still get one shot. The judges don't care that there is people on this stage, you know, and that's just something that we always have to remind ourselves as well, is like, it's not necessarily about that one moment, because if you put your entire happiness as like a human being into the outcome of one thing that's truly not in your control, you will never feel satisfied in life. So for me, I try to make every time I do things about the journey. And that sounds super cliche, but like, again, I learned this at Trinity Valley. My first year, I dealt with a lot of bullying. Like, it was super hard for me because I was the only one that was on that mat list that had never cheered before. So it was very hard for me feeling singled out and like I was on an island separate from my entire team. So when it came to the competition, I honestly didn't care that much. And we obviously didn't win that year, and it was really crappy. But going into my second year, I put literally my all into that year. Like, I did everything I could, and I really felt like I led my team in the best way I could too. We went out there. We were the first ever Trinity Valley team to hit both days. And that was like super big for us, but we didn't walk away with the trophy that day. And that like took a huge toll on me mentally. And talk about depression. Like, yeah, there is depression after winning and there's depression after losing, and there was nothing you could have done better. Like, it's really 2 different types of depression. And that was like one of the hardest things I ever dealt with. And that's why I told myself going into Weber the year after was like, one, I was never going to let myself feel that way again or get like that low about a sport, because when I'm 50 years old, like, that's not even really going to matter to me. You know, it's going to be the people that I spent at these places or met at these places. So like, you just can't put all of your happiness eggs in one basket, because that's an unnecessary and unrealistic amount of pressure to put on yourself as a person. And that's another like big thing that I try to share with everyone, is like, the key to being perfect has nothing to do with what you do as an athlete. It has to do with what you think and hear. And being perfect doesn't mean you perform perfect. It means you think perfect. And what that means, it's like what you're telling yourself. Are you thinking like, what if I drop? Or are you thinking, what if I hit? Are you thinking, what if I fail? Or what if I win? You know, it's like, you have to transform those negative thoughts into positive ones, and don't let negative emotions hijack your brain. And that's kind of been one of the biggest key factors that helped me. And also, like, the pressure we feel is so like immense, you can't even explain it. And I remember my first year making like the U.S. national team, we had a meeting. It was the first meeting of the year, and our coach was like, yeah, this isn't letting your college team down if you drop, or letting your stump harder down if you drop. It's like letting the United States of America down, like your country down.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
Like, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. And then I realized, I was like, how lucky am I to feel like this scared right now? Like, privilege, like, pressure is a privilege.
Yeah.
Like, it really is. And yeah, you just have to transform your thoughts. Like, if you weren't ready to be here, you wouldn't be here. And
Right.
I don't know if like y'all are religious or anything, but I do believe in God, and like I put a lot of my faith in like a higher power, because sometimes we need someone out there with us.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There was one part I wanted to kind of touch on that really kind of stuck out to me, and that was when you were talking about like when you fall, like you were talking about those moments that were like that difficult with having instances where you fell in public or you didn't win those trophies, and that's one of the things that I've seen a lot with professional athletes, whether it's someone who is in the major leagues of whatever it is, or getting up there, especially like the younger athletes. They kind of take it very much to heart. Like they're not good at counting the wins. And I think that's not even just athletes, but just younger successful people in general. They're so bad at counting the wins and seeing like what went good. And they're focusing on that one thing that went wrong. Like if it's a baseball player and there's like that one pitch that was really bad or something, they might have struck out 16 people beforehand, but they're not counting out. They're counting out one ball that didn't hit right where they were supposed to, or maybe in gymnastics, like that one flip that didn't land just the right way, even though they still won gold or something. Like,
right.
So in your instance, like you started the conversation with telling us about how like you have the world record pretty much for flying, or I'm not sure all the lingo and stuff with all that, but it sounds like those moments of failing almost stick out even more than the world records that you have and the crazy following that you've been able to amass. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I will say, just to give another example, like when you look at Michael Jordan, you don't realize that he's missed 9,000 shots. You know, you look at Michael Jordan and you're like, dang, that's Michael Jordan. Like, so that's kind of one thing that like we always have to reassure ourselves with is like these little kids out there, they're not looking at us and they're like, wow, like she could have done better. Like they're like, oh my gosh, she just competed with USA on her chest. Like, and that's something that really helps us cope with failures is like, obviously we all are perfectionists. That's how anyone gets to like the top of their field. You don't even have to be an athlete. Like if you're going to be the best at something, you have to be a hyper perfectionist and accept nothing less than that. And that is really, really hard. But once it comes time to competing, you have to have short-term memory, and you can't hyper obsess with things that you could have done better because it's too late at that point. Like there's still a day two. And then sometimes day two is when you mess up. And then that's when you have to find ways to cope with, maybe I'm not walking away with the trophy today, but I did still win a different way. And there's like, we always say like there's 4 types of winning and losing. Like you can lose with the team, lose the trophy. You can win with the team, win the trophy. Or you can lose the trophy, but win with the team. And pretty much that's like what I felt like I did my second year of chair is like our team was like this. Like that is a team I will never forget. We all went out there and I won't forget the feeling that I had walking off the floor after and just like so proud of everyone. And it is funny though, because when the award ceremony was announced, like I really did feel like I was in like a different world. Like the whole competition was like in slow motion and I was like so distraught that we had lost. And when I finally came to, I realized that the award announcer had handed me the second place trophy. And I like looked down and realized I was holding it and all my team was already off the floor, like crying. And I was just still standing there like in shock, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I did not handle that loss very well at all. And that's why I just really try to remind myself, like every day I'm walking into practice, like there will be a day at some point where I can't walk into practice anymore. There will be a day where I can't even do a cartwheel anymore. It's like, we can't take these moments for granted because that is like what this stuff is all about, is what you learn from being there. It's not, did I win a trophy today? You know?
Absolutely.
I can only imagine the pride you must have felt with the USA on your chest. You know, how did that feel?
It was amazing. Like, again, this is something I had dreamt of my entire life. And I had always wanted to represent my country, whether it be in gymnastics or cheer. And it was amazing to just make the team, let alone competing with that team and making the mat list. It was very, very like rewarding to me emotionally because like I had always had these dreams growing up, like of them announcing like the United States of America, and then I'm like out there with my country. And when it happened, like all my nerves went away. I was freaking out backstage, and I was trying to like play it cool, like calm myself down, like we got this. And then I just remember going to the very front of the line because I'm really weird about like being the first one out on the mat because I like to really look at my surroundings. So I realized that this isn't that big of a deal. Like I'm just performing and having fun and like showing off our routine. It's not like I'm not going to apply more pressure on myself than is necessary. So I remember them walking out or announcing as I was running out. And then I just saw white, like the lights were so bright. And then they were like, and up next is the premier co-ed of the United States of America. And it was just like the most insane feeling ever. And I get so happy thinking about it. And that is honestly why I keep going back is like, although I think there were a lot of changes that need to be done in our sport for the betterment of everybody as like a community. And just, I think we all deserve to be in the Olympics, like everybody. But regardless of that, making like the premier co-ed team, that is any cheerleader's dream. Like it really does not get better than that. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity regardless. And luckily, USA, it's like another very dominating force. The last time USA lost, and this is actually the only time they ever lost, was in 2015. So I was 12 years old. And since then, they have been winning. And it's like by 7, 9, 11 points. It's not like it's close. You know what I mean? And Weber is close to other teams because we're all like, yeah, Weber is close. And Weber combines with other amazing colleges to form USA. So that's why USA is so amazing as well by itself.
I'm not sure how much you deal with this, but I grew up in a very competitive nature. Like I grew up the younger brother, and so like I was always in competition with my older brother or kind of like the smallest one of the pack. And so
yeah,
I was always kind of like compared to other people because I would always hang out with the older kids. I'd always kind of want to be part of like the cool kids and stuff. With you being on like the team of some of like the best of the best. Are you guys pretty good about like not being in competition with each other and like supporting each other, or is there a lot of possible like envy and stuff between each of the players and competition between each of you guys?
I would say like that's pretty common in every sport. It's just like, again, it has to do with mindset. Like, do you have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? Because I feel like people with fixed mindsets are often the ones that get jealous of other people. Because rather than looking inward, they're looking outward and comparing outward. And growth mindseted people aren't looking at someone and hating them for their talents. They're looking at them and they're like, what can I do better to be more like them, if that makes sense? So you just got to transform that. And there's definitely both of those on every team I've been on. Like, nobody's perfect. And I would just say the best teams I've been on, though, everyone has a growth mindset. There might be one or two that struggle a little bit and everyone around them kind of helps them through. But like in order to be successful, you have to be coachable and you have to like be able to self-reflect and not be hateful. You need to be like inspired. That's what I always tell people.
Okay. What's your do you have a specific process that stops you from allowing that competition to take over? Because even in the film industry and acting or in business or anything, I just can't help sometimes with feeling the envy. Like I have to kind of check in with myself. Like, no, I just need to be happy for them. Like we're a team in this. Like they might be a competing type of thing, but like we're part of the same industry. We're trying to grow this industry. Is there like a certain way that you kind of make sure that you're keeping away from like comparing yourself to other, whether it's either with social media or as an athlete or just in general, in that aspect?
Absolutely. I mean, comparison is the thief of joy. And I actually have that like tattooed on myself. Never let anyone steal your joy. And that's just like a quote that has always meant something like so extraneous to me is I've always been someone that's like cares too much about what other people think. Like that's just how I naturally am. And like and I almost left gymnastics because of it at one point. And I just can't imagine my life. Yeah. Like if I had let these people get like, you know, into my head and take away my biggest love of my life, which is athleticism. And one of the ways that like I stop myself from, I guess, getting involved in that is like I just really don't watch other people. I'm like a very, very inward competitor. Even when I'm at practice, I do not watch another one of my teammates. It doesn't matter.
She's looking at me because she knows I feel attacked right now.
And I just don't watch people like at all when I'm competing. And this is also what's super hard about like where me and my step partner's position has been is when you qualify in backwards score order. So I've gone last to compete in partner stunt the last 4 competitions in a row. So I never have watched anyone compete in the last 2 years.
Really?
And it's because, I have no idea what my competition looks like. I don't care what skills they're doing. Like, sure, I want everyone to have their best day and I want all of us to walk off the floor happy. But like, I know I'm not going to be happy if I walk off the floor feeling that there were any regrets, period. And that doesn't matter what, you know, Susie and Jim did before me. That matters what Hailey and Josh does, you know? So I just have to make sure, like, I do everything in my power to where when I'm behind that stage and they're about to call my name, there is no doubt left because I outworked the doubt. And that's one thing that also is super important is, like, the definition of being humble to me is having delusional confidence. Because when you go out there, you have to believe you are the best in the, like, world. You have to believe it. If there's doubt at all that you can't do it, you won't do it. So you have to have delusional confidence, but you also have to have enough insecurity to where you outwork the fear of failure. So when you're behind the stage, like, if you have one negative thought, it's like, I've done this routine 950 times. I'm not about to mess up the one time I have at a 950,
right.
You know? So it's like, that's the delusional confidence. And it's not cockiness. It's like humble confidence. It's like a difference that people have to balance sometimes. And I struggled a lot with balancing that for a long time as well. And like, it honestly was even worse this year for me because that first year I went to Weber, just to give y'all a little bit more backstory. So I went 2 years at Trinity Valley, losing, falling. I get to Weber. Oh, and I tried out for Team US or for US national team both years. That at Trinity Valley, and I didn't make the team both times either. So I wanted to add that in there as well. So I publicly failed twice in that area as well. So like going into Weber, I had no like confidence at all. I was like, I suck. I don't deserve to be at Weber State. Why did they take me and recruit me? And then I tried out for the US national team and I made it. That was like my first little like, okay, maybe I'm not that bad. And then me and Josh qualified for partner stunt together and we qualified in second. So again, I was like, oh, maybe I'm not that bad. But then I get to UCA partner stunt and I actually think that like I didn't mentally prepare myself enough for that competition. I physically did, but not mentally. And this is when I really started getting big on visualization, self-talk, controlling anxiety and doubt and like the highs and lows of like the adrenaline depression cycle. Like I did all the reps, probably more reps than anyone at that competition, but I was not mentally in tune with myself. And I went out there and dropped. So I was like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing wrong? This doesn't make any sense. And me and Josh started visualizing and replicating the exact process of competitions for the next 3 months. Like we were backstage visualizing, listening to the music, simulating the process. So that way when we got out there, it was nothing new for us. This was just a normal day competing. And we ended up winning partner stunt that year and winning Daytona finally and grand with Weber. And then me and Josh won with USA that year together too. And that was 2 years ago. And then this is when I really started to get like the negative feedback from people because we were the underdogs at the time. Like the people always root for the underdogs. But once you're on top, people no longer want you on top. They want another underdog to come up. So this past season, it was all about, can Hailey and Josh do it again? Was it luck? Like, was it luck? Did they just have a good day? Like, and that's kind of what, like, where we dealt with, like, all year was people just preying on our downfall, happy we were getting hurt. I was literally competing and people were yelling for my spotter, like the girl that she doesn't compete like her flip. She just stands there for legal purposes. They were yelling for her and not for me and Josh. Like they were just blatantly being disrespectful. Yeah, like they were just doing it to try to get in our heads. And like, again, we went through, made the U.S. national team again, got to UCA partner stunt, and talk about like that failure feeling again. I told you I felt like that depression my second year losing Daytona. I felt it again last year because me and Josh put out the hardest routine to ever be competed. Like literally, it probably will not ever have someone compete these skills again for a very long time. And we hit our routine. Like I was in the air. It was like super great. We walked off the floor. We're so happy with ourselves. And we got second place because it was just a routine that the judges didn't like that day. Like that's what's also horrible about cheer is it's so subjective. Like there was no score sheet that like calculates the skills based on difficulty at all. It literally just has to do with, did the judges like your routine that day or did they like someone else's better? So like, again, I had to win with my teammate, but not walk away with the trophy this past year. So then the doubt cycle started again. I was like, I did everything I could and it still wasn't good enough. I'm like, how am I supposed to win NCAA partners then again if the judges don't like me and I'm not on their side? So I went through the same self-doubt, like negative talk, all the things. And again, like me and Josh put ourselves in the gym to death. Like it was 1 a.m. and I'm stressing out, can't sleep. I'm having nightmares about competing and like the judges hating me. And I'm like texting my partner, like, you want to go to the gym right now? Like I can't sleep. And we just go rep this routine out. Yeah, like there was nothing that was going to take away, like, I guess that's one thing I guess that I told Josh. And that's why looking back now, even though we got second, like I really don't think there was anything we could have done more. And that's kind of why I'm content with that and I think that should be everyone's way of life. Like if you're going to take an L, it better be an L that's not your fault. Like it better be out of your control. And like, you just have to know that there was nothing more you could do. And that's why anything I do, I'm going to put 150 into it because if I leave that 1% doing 99, then like that's 1% someone else can come up and take it. And it's like that with everything in life. Like you just really got to put your all into it and be like emotionally invested. It can't be a hobby. It's got to be an obsession. Yes.
So when you say that the judges like just liked someone else's routine better that day, does the pressure, do you feel pressure to like create a more entertaining routine instead of the skills?
Yes, all the time. Like, and sometimes like the people on social media will be horrible. Like they're like, her hair looked messy, her makeup was distracting. It's like things like that. So you're constantly trying to appease everyone else. And again, like there's always going to be people that do not like you or don't like what you're doing just because not everyone has the same like taste or flavor, And that's like another thing I stopped doing to cope is reading comments. Like I do not read on social media. I post because that's like how I help monetize my career so I can do these opportunities. But I do not read comments. And I also do not like respond back on negative ones if I happen to see one. Like I just have to like tell myself these people don't know me.
Right.
They're literally just watching a random person on YouTube or Instagram and they're just bored. So they're being Twitter warriors about it rather than just observing and moving on. And it's the same way with judges. Like judges are like, her leg was bent or your feet were apart. And growing up in gymnastics, I'm constantly used to criticism. And that might be why like I've been able to be coachable and kind of move on past really harsh criticism from random people. But like, again, when your whole purpose as an athlete is to appease the opinions of other people, which are your judges, you cannot put all your source of happiness in the judges because they will fail you sometimes. They are not perfect people, just like we're not perfect people.
Dang.
Do you think when you're on the top for so many years that they are also rooting for the underdogs?
Absolutely. And me and Josh knew that. Like going into this year at Daytona, I was like, Josh, we got second place with like the world's first backed up to QP ever competed. I was
Right.
like, they don't want us to win. They don't. So we literally cannot open the door even a crack. Like, we have to slam the door shut when we walk off that floor at Daytona. So me and Josh were hard on each other. Like, he told me a lot of, like, you know, real talk. I told him the same thing. Like, we hurt each other's feelings all year. But at the end of the day, like, if we hadn't been honest and open and communicative towards each other, we wouldn't have been able to both accomplish the goal we had put our all into. Like, we're at the end of the day, we're both fighting for the same exact team and the same exact goal. And like, I was like, Josh, you're stepping too much. Like, you're walking around, and that's why we lost UCA. Like, you have to be perfect. And then he was like, well, Hailey, you need to stop wearing your braces because your high V looks ugly and your arms look big. So I'm like, okay. So we're both going to make a compromise, meet in the middle. And that's like pretty much how we had to do it. And one of the biggest things I realized looking back is, like, we only did 6 skills when everyone else did 6 skills. So you really could compare it tit for tat at UCA. The people that won were actually my teammates, and I was super happy for them. They had an amazing routine, and it was super duper clean. But just Josh and I, you know, being the competitors we are, we're like, when we go to NCAA, we cannot leave it open to compare tit for tat. So what we did was we fit in like an extra skill or two from everyone else. So we had the fastest routine probably ever done with the most skills ever done for NCAA. So that way, like, walking off the floor, I could tell Josh, like, it doesn't even matter if someone else gets clean. We had more skills. Like, we're not leaving any room for debate open. And we train hard. Like, this routine was not hittable for us for a while. And we went through a period where we were dropping. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, okay, do we need to water down our skills? Do we need to do an easier routine? I'm like, what's going on? And then Josh actually developed this, like, oh yeah, this is another big thing for mental health too, is for athletes when you get injured. Like, kind of what we were talking about with, like, the highs and lows of depression post-competition.
Right.
The highs and lows of depression when you're an athlete in season about to compete and you get an injury that takes you out for weeks, if not months. And me and Josh both dealt with that this year.
Really?
So not only were, like, me and him facing doubts from our teammates on if we could do it again, or from critics, you know, and ourselves if we could do it again, but we had our body literally telling us that we were not at our best walking out on that competition floor. So it was really, really hard to get out of, like, the negative headspace we were both in, because Josh developed this, I don't even know what the right word is. It's like something where spinal fluid leaks out. And
oh, geez.
it's like you develop it and then you have it for the rest of your life.
Oh, no.
Yes. Like, yeah, he will have flare-ups of this injury for the rest of his life. There's no cure, nothing. And Josh is someone I would consider, like, the best cheerleader of all time. He is the best tumbler ever and, like, the best stunter ever. He is extremely gifted and hardworking, and that is why he's so good. And to see my stunt partner who cares about being out there, I know as much as I do, get told he can't do stuff a month before Daytona. Like, this literally happened in March, and we competed April, like, 9th, 10th, and 11th. Yeah. Wow. So Josh was freaking out.
Yeah.
Josh finally gets better. He's starting to feel better again, and I'm working on my standing full for USA because I needed it in order to make Matt. And this was April 2nd, and we competed April 9th, 10th, and 11th. April 2nd, I do one standing full, land wrong. I tore my meniscus and my MCL.
Oh!
Yep. And I had to compete and tumble on my leg a week from that day. So I'm freaking out. Like, I'm, like, stressing out, crying, bawling, all the things. And it got so bad to where we had just done day 2 at Daytona. I had tumbled on my leg. Like, they wrapped it up. It looked like a cast. Like, I couldn't even bend my leg. I'm, like, walking with, like, a straight leg everywhere in public. You can tell my knee is, like, cooked, but I had to do the thing.
Yeah.
And I knew if I looked injured, like, my coach for USA wasn't going to, you know, put me on mat because I'm not reliable at that point.
Right.
So I had to show, like, I can compete on anything. I'm totally fine. And day 2, like, me and Josh had it out with each other because this was the night before partner stunt. And I realized that, like, I wasn't upset with him or, like, anyone else. I was like upset that my body was not allowing me to be my best because all the reps we were doing, my leg was hurting so bad. And I had so much adrenaline that I wasn't even feeling pain. I just knew something was wrong because everything kept dropping when it normally doesn't for us. So I started doubting myself. I started like having all these thoughts like, there's no way I'm going to win. It's okay. Like, I'm going to tell everyone I was injured. And then I had a dream that like me and Josh were successful the next day, and we were successful with Weber State the next day. So I woke up that morning and I was like, I'm not going to like tell people that I was injured and that's why I didn't do good. I'm going to tell people that at my worst, I was still my best.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I like, I guess, went with mentally. And that's actually a quote that like me and Josh started to live by is like, last year wasn't luck, and at our worst, we're still our best. And we're really like, we love overcoming adversity because sometimes I think if like the path is too, I don't want to say easy, but too narrow and straight, then that there's more room for error that way. Mm-hmm. But if you're constantly used to having to overcome hard things all the time, this is just another hard thing that we know we're capable of getting through.
With the world of athleticism, I know that there's just like a lot of discipline, especially with like diet restrictions and stuff. And like,
yep.
I've been pretty consistent in the gym like the last like six months to whatever. And one of the things for me, like people are always telling me about diets and stuff. Even like my personal trainer, she absolutely hates the fact that like I don't believe in like counting calories and doing all that. Like I try to pack in as much protein as I can. Right. I don't do like the specific little things because I'm afraid of almost like developing a negative relationship with food. I don't want to do that. And like, I imagine as athletes, like whether, especially in like combat sports to where it's down to like the point, whatever of a pound. I don't know how like what that world looks like for you guys. I don't think that there's like, you guys have to do weigh-ins or anything. I wouldn't imagine that there's anything like that, but.
Kinda.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You guys have weigh-ins.
Yeah, that's another kind of like negative stigma that's been developing a little bit with cheer, like gymnastics. I was always in a leotard. I was never comparing my body like size or type to anybody else because that just wasn't a focus in gymnastics.
Right.
You get to cheer. You're in sports bras, little spandex every day around boys every day who have to throw you and either won't throw you because you're too big or they only go up to the little ones first. And to give you like an example, like I'm 4'8" and I'm 86 pounds. I've been like the smallest, if not one of the smallest on every team I've been on. And I've still had guys like tell me that I look a certain way. Like I look chunky or I look like this or
what?
When I first started. Yes. And when I've actually like never talked about this before, like to anyone, actually, not even like publicly or privately, but my first year of Trinity Valley, when I was learning how to fly, like I didn't know what I was doing, didn't have good technique. I had a guy tell me that I had fetus flyer syndrome, which basically means you fly like you're a little child who has no body control, so you feel heavy in the air. So looking back, I probably did fly like that because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
But it's like when you say trigger words like that to people, like it doesn't come across as it's about flying. I'm like, oh, I'm like fat. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow, I'm like big. And I like developed, like you said, this really negative relationship with food. And it also doesn't help that I'm allergic to gluten. So I already have very, very limited restricted diet, like availability living in a dorm, let alone like the food plans we had, the cafeteria at the dorm and at the college. They didn't have much food for me. So I was living off of pretty much potatoes for 3 months. It was September. Yeah, it was bad. It was the last week of August all the way to the first week of November. And I remember those dates vividly because the first week of November was MAT tryouts. And I actually got sent to the hospital because I had been eating like no nutrients. They said I developed athletic anorexia. And it wasn't like I was purposefully starving myself. I just didn't have good access to food.
Right.
And then I developed a negative relationship to food due to like a mean comment that somebody had given me, you know?
Yeah.
So look now, like being 4 years in, instead of like, I guess, adding to that for girls, like I wish I had a girl at the time tell me that like, that boy just needs to get stronger. Like you're the littlest one. Why is he telling you you're big? You know?
Right.
So I just try to make sure that I'm keeping an open communication for the girls because we are a co-ed sport. Like a large co-ed has 13 boys, or no, 12 boys and 8 girls that compete. So we are outnumbered. They are the majority, period, point blank. And this industry always favors men anyways because the men are so few and far between that want to do cheer, and the girls are unlimited. You know, you have like 50 copy pastes of the same athlete that's a woman, but you have 1 in a million, like really good quality guy athletes at a high caliber level. So the industry is always going to favor the men. And that's also been something that's like super hard. And I guess we can get into that stuff later, but like just the women are not treated the best in the industry. And yeah, just having that comment made to me, I developed a horrible relationship with food. And now, like, a way I kind of cope with that is I just don't have to scale. Like, I got down to 75 pounds my first year at court. Like, looking back at pictures of me, like, you could see, like, my collarbone, my ribs, like, it was super unhealthy. And I remember, like, getting compliments from people, like, wow, you look so good. Like, you're so tiny, you look in shape. And I'm just like, they were like rewarding my brain with like negative actions I was doing. So now I personally don't compliment girls, period, on weight because, you know, even if they are small, they might not be doing it in a good way, just like I wasn't. Yeah, and I wasn't doing it in a good way. And I also don't want to tell people that they look toned because maybe they're trying to like, you know, get a little smaller. So I think it's better to just kind of not comment on that for girls. And I also just don't own a scale anymore because I kind of went through a bad habit of that last summer. I mean, none of us are perfect. I still kind of get issues with my weight all the time because now that I like tumble a lot and I am getting a little bit more muscle, so I am naturally going to gain weight. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's hard on me. I'm like, why don't I weigh 78 pounds like I did 4 years ago? And that's why I had to throw away my scale in my room because I gained a lot of weight last summer just due to getting sick. I got fist disease when I was in Germany. So they don't really have like good health care like we do in America there. So they gave me this like steroid pill that was supposed to knock it out of my system. And it made me gain like 12 pounds. And for someone that's 4'8", like that is a very, very big difference. Yeah. Like 12 pounds on a grown man. And then someone that's on 4'8" it was like night and day for me. And it was really, really like humiliating for me to be in a sports bra and stuff around my teammates. And also my athleticism wasn't the same. I couldn't tumble the same. My flying felt heavy and slow. And I ended up like running 15 miles a week outside of practice. Like I was determined to get back down to like my size that I normally was. And I was like checking my weight 3 times a day as if that was going to change anything. And I realized I was starting to develop like a bad, you know, habit again of like the mental, like needing reassurance from a scale. So I was just like, I'm not even going to like look at that. I just threw it away. And I talked to both of my stunt partners, Colin and Josh. And I was like, if they tell me that I feel different flying, then at that point, that's my concern because I'm not fulfilling my job for both of us. But if they say I feel the same and like it's still great, then I'm not even going to worry about how much I weigh. So that's pretty much like all I do now is like every time it's been a while since I've been back with them, I'm like, do I feel the same flying? Like, does everything feel good? They're like, yes, it feels great. Like, we're so excited to stunt again. And for me, like, that's all the validation that I need from other people in regards to that. Like, as long as I look in the mirror and I'm happy with how I look, and I'm able to fulfill my job, like as an athlete with my stunt partner, then like that's all I'm gonna care about from now on. And that's the rule I told myself is like no more scale and no more like obsessing over what or how much I'm eating. Like if I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat because I'm an athlete and I need to fuel my body.
Well, and I think of that in like a two-way street too, because going back to that first instance of that first guy saying that like you felt different when flying, there could have been something off with his body. That there might have like nothing off with your body at all. Maybe he hadn't hit the gym in a couple months. Maybe he wasn't he wasn't comfortable enough to admit the fact that like, because I remember I like. I'll be the first to admit that I hate admitting like when I'm not super strong. I'll never like blame it on someone else. Like if I'm lifting someone else and I'm sorry, like well, like I'm whatever. Like if they say that, I'm like, it's probably me. Maybe I didn't hydrate well enough. Maybe my muscles are wanting more potassium or something, or maybe there's some my blood sugar is a little bit lower. Like I don't really know what it is, but like never putting the blame on the other person, because I'm like, I don't know what you're going through in your head. And if I tell you something about your body, you could have been having the best week of your life with like, I hit the gym every single day this week. I was doing this. My cardio is amazing. And then I just commented on something when in reality, I'm the one that's been lazy for the last couple of weeks. And so I'm putting my own stuff onto you. And I don't know, that just kind of, especially in a situation like that. I mean, even now, if you're working with Josh and your other partner, I mean, if there is a situation to where something feels off, it could literally just be like a virus is kicking into their body, and so it's taking all the energy away. Or
absolutely,
even the best athletes have illness or something that like everyone has off days. That doesn't mean that there's something weird that's happening with your body or something. That could just be an off day. Maybe not enough rest the night before. Maybe you guys went too hard the other day and your body's still trying to recover. Like there's so many variables rather than just like, oh, you put on some weight, so that's why we can't fly now. Like, just, I don't know.
I know. No, that's like literally, it sounds crazy when you say it out loud, but that's literally how the cheer industry is. Like, we even have terminology called like ground mounding. And what that means is like when a girl gets over like 5'2" or over like 100 pounds, you're ground mounded. You're not allowed to fly anymore. Like, it's this horrible stigma and stereotype that's, like, developed within just cheerleading as a whole. And it's like this everywhere. And guys get a little bit too comfortable sometimes, I think, because they're around us every day. Like, we become, like, some of the bros. So they're going to just come up to us and say crazy things like that rather than, like, respecting each other and the boundaries, you know? Because, like you said, you never know what someone's going through. And eating disorders are so prevalent in any sport or in anyone in the world. Like, I've had teammates of mine that lost 40 pounds in 1 year. And that's like, yes. And they are girls, yes.
Oh, that is so unhealthy.
Yes, like they will be tumbler, mid-layer girls that are like muscular. They're lifting other girls in pyramids. They're tumbling their butt off, bounding. And then by like the end of that same year, they're like skin and bone, collarbones, kneecaps, all the things showing just so they can fly.
Well, actually,
and they get rewarded for it. They get rewarded for it. Like, they actually get put in the air.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're rewarding negative psychological behavior, you know?
Is that unhealthy to lose that amount of weight that quick? Because I'm thinking, because I know Mr. Beast just did a video to where it was 100 pounds in, I think 100 days. And there was another YouTuber that was commenting on it. He was doctored. He's like, that's a lot. And for me, I'm like, is that like, I don't know. Like, I'm in the acting industry. I've seen actors go from like skin and bone, 110 pounds. Like Christian Bale, for example, when he was playing Batman, he went from a stick figure type of like nothing, like maybe an apple and a cigarette a day type of thing, to having to put on 90 pounds in 6 months for being able to play Batman. And so I'm used to, like, in my industry, I'm used to seeing people do extreme changes and stuff. Like, obviously combat sports. Like, I love watching UFC, but I'll see them doing like literally gaining 10 pounds in 24 hours with rapid hydration and stuff. Yeah. So when I hear about that, I'm like, I don't know where the healthiness stuff. Obviously, there's a healthy way to lose weight and like to gain weight and stuff. So obviously, if that girl who lost 40 pounds in 1 year was doing it in an unhealthy way, then no. But like, if it wasn't a healthy way, I don't know. That's a little bit out of my wheelhouse for knowing the healthiness about all that.
I would say, like, you got to think of it like size proportion body ratio. Like,
Right.
if you're 100 pounds and you're losing 40, that's 40% of your weight.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're 80 pounds and losing 40, that's 50% of your body weight that's going down.
Right. That
You know
makes
what I mean?
sense.
Yeah, so it just depends. Like, if you're a grown man, you're 220 pounds, gaining or losing 50 isn't going to make that big of a difference.
Right.
If you're like, unless you're a girl who's like 130 and then you're losing or gaining 50 pounds, then like, you know what I mean? It's just different. Girls have hormones too. I'm sure with guys, like all that stuff is a little bit different too, in good and bad ways, and testosterone and all that. You just like, when you're a girl and you lose that much weight, you don't have a period anymore. Like, you can't even have babies anymore because your body can barely survive on its own. It cannot support a child. Like, you don't.
I didn't even think about that.
Yes. Yeah, it's like crazy. And like, honestly though, most of us, like, when we're in competition, like grind, like this is the month of Daytona, we all are so active and stressed out, anxiety heightened. Honestly, none of us have periods anyways for like 2 months, just because your mental health. Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, your mental health and stuff just goes out the wazoo. Like, you're so stressed and you're like living on this heightened sense of alert for 8 weeks straight. And then once that's all done, it's like, oh, like, okay, this is still the world. The world's still ticking.
Right.
You know, you just build it up to be such a big deal in your head.
That's crazy.
Oh, I can't even imagine that, because I know that like hormones play huge roles in everything, and I'm not a guy, so I don't have to deal with like the whole period thing, but I can only imagine what it kind of is like when like your body's not doing something that's supposed to be doing on a regular basis. Like, anything that could be happening, like I don't know how that kind of affects the mental health and stuff when you're putting your body through that much shock. But I know, like, even when I feel like my hormones are off, I'm like, I feel like just off. I can't even explain it. It just feels really off. And especially like when you're putting your body through that kind of shock. There was another part that I wanted to get into, like, as like the diet and stuff. That's insane. But like with social media and everything like that, I'm curious how that's taken its own toll on just your mental health, like finding success at such an early age. Are you happy that you found success at such an early age? Do you wish you kind of waited a little bit before? Or how does that kind of come into effect for you?
I guess like the way I look at myself is I don't feel successful yet. I just feel like I'm on the right track. Like, I feel like I'm doing good, but that's like another tattoo I have on my body. I only have 2, and they both mean a lot to me, and they are like what I encompass my entire moral belief in life around. And this other one is called proud but never satisfied. So like, yes, I'm proud of all of the things I've done, but like, I'm not anywhere close to being where I want to be. Like, there's still so much change that needs to be done in order for me to like finally be able to put my cheer shoes away and be content not being like a part of that community anymore. And a lot of that has to do with stuff that's not even me as an athlete. It's, what can I do to help the youth? What can I do to get them the right opportunities that I wasn't given? And also, I've been thinking a lot, like, if someone had advocated for the youth 15 years ago, then today I could be in the Olympics. But we didn't have someone doing this 15 years ago.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, we need people that are willing to speak up on this stuff, and that are willing to like talk about taboo subjects like mental health. Because again, when you're on a high caliber team and you tell your coach, like, and obviously the coaches are not going to say this out loud, but it's just something that like, you know, deep down, if you're trying to be center flyer and all of the whole competition is watching you, and then you tell your coach you're having some like anxiety and you're really stressed about a lot of things going on in your life, you're starting to get depressed and like you've just been really sad and not really looking forward to the things, the first thing the coach is going to think is, oh, she can't handle this role anymore. And they will remove you from it. And it has nothing to do with your skills or how hard you worked. It's just what you just verbalized out loud to your coach, which that should be a safe place to do that. They should be able to just trust you to still do your job. Like, therapy should not be a taboo subject. And there's so many athletes now that are coming out, like Simone Biles. She has a whole athletic therapist that has helped her like cope with mental blocks. And that's another huge part of being an athlete is mental blocks. And you're like, I firmly believe competing under high pressure situations is only 10% physical. If you've done the reps and you've done the muscle memory, you're good. But your 90% is your mental. And if any of that is like shakeable and people can go in there and hijack, or you can hijack your own thoughts, you've already lost before you've even gotten to the competition. And that's what like I wish a lot of coaches would realize is like, you can still have anxiety and talk about these things out loud as a mechanism of coping, but that doesn't mean you're going to let that interfere with your ability to perform and do your best.
Right.
Yes. And I've seen that a lot, like in sports. Like people will go through phases of, you know, like extreme depression where they're having like, and there's a cause for it. Like their parents might be getting divorced, you know?
Right.
So
external things.
Depressed.
External stuff happens.
Life happens, you know, and it doesn't mean you're incapable all of a sudden of fulfilling your job that you've worked literally 6 hours a day for the last 8 months.
Right.
Yes. And just a lot of times people don't think of that. And that's like kind of another thing that we just really need to work on changing is the stereotypes in this industry.
Absolutely. You said earlier that you're proud of what you do, but you're not where you want to be. Where is that? Where do you want to be? Like, what's your 10-year, like, where do you see Hailey D'Lynn Smith 10 years from now after you've hit Daytona for the last time and all that? Like, where is that you want to be point?
I want to be a motivational speaker. Like, that's super, like, something I'm passionate about. And I feel like I have a lot of stories I can tell that other people can relate to in one way or not another. And kind of use those, like, I guess, use those lessons I've learned in a way that can inspire them to do better quicker. Because, like, if I could have learned this stuff 3 years ago, like, I can't imagine where I would be now, you know?
Right.
But since I learned it, like, a year and a half ago, it's like, I am where I am now. And I just want people to be able to get to places faster and feel successful and proud of themselves faster, and also not put all of their worth in the outcome of a single event. And like everyone does that in life. Like, did I get this job? No, well, I'm not successful. Or did I get this promotion? No, well, I'm not successful. But it can't be about other people's opinions of you. It has to be about your opinion of you. And like, the more I feel like I can get people to understand that, the more I will feel successful, because I don't base success on my personal achievements. I base my success on how I can positively influence the people around me. And sure, that does come with having some accolades. Like, if you want people to like genuinely care about what you have to say, you have to show some type of credibility behind it. So yes, like, performing well does help. But at the end of the day, like, I don't go out and like perform and try to win for me. Like, I do it for the impact that I can make from doing that, if that makes sense. And then aside from that, cheerleading in the Olympics. If I can just be a part of the process that helps us get there, when they announce the Olympic sports, and if partner stunting is on there, like, I will literally quit and everything. Like, I will be done. Yeah. I will have made it in life. And I didn't mention this earlier, but I've actually gotten into the film industry myself.
What?
So I got to cameo in a movie on Paramount.
That's right. Oh, I saw that. Yes, I didn't want to talk about that because that looked insane. Like, you're actually, like, there's a close-up of you in the film. Okay, yeah.
Multiple shots. It's like crazy. I didn't realize how much they were going to use of me and Josh, because I kind of thought, you know, we were there just to be extras, but they like highlighted us as like main members on the team.
Right.
In the movie. And then we were like right by Sophia Bush and Chris Carmack, like all these high profile actors and actresses. It was so cool. And then I got to stunt double in a scene that injured a girl in the movie. And because of that connection I made, I just got hit up again last month to stunt double in a scary movie that'll be on like HBO Max. And I already filmed and did it. And I already worked with Chloe Grace Moretz like 2 weeks ago. Yes, like, she was so cool, and I was her stunt double, and I played the girl that got kidnapped. So they like drugged me down a staircase and stuff. It was like crazy, but also like in 10 years, I would really like to like continue in the film industry because there is room for monetization in it. And I'm not seeing, you know, just the paychecks of these little projects they've been having me do. And it's just, that's also what's made me realize how much we don't get paid in cheerleading. Is I'll be on set for like 5 hours and I'll get like the equivalent of what I make in like 3 months cheering. Like it is crazy.
Well, I mean, especially in a situation like that, with us being in the film industry, one of the most important things is being able to rely on the actor. So if I'm filming a cheerleading thing and I need someone that's actually able to do these stunts in a safe way, I don't want someone on that's just like, oh, I've did cheerleading when I was in high school or something. I've kind of whatever. Like I need someone who is reputable to be up there, who has the ability. So being able to have someone like yourself, for me, that's like, okay, cool. I know that she has the ability to do this. I have no doubt. And so it can just be that much, like it gives me confidence to hire you to be able to do something like that.
I was going to ask you if you wanted to do stunt doubling because just you're so athletic and you know how to fall. And so that's super important. So I'm so happy to hear that you're starting to do that. I think that's going to be a really cool career for you.
I think so too, and I'm in the Actors Guild Union now, and the SAG.
I'm so jealous of you right now. You know how hard I've been acting for professionally acting for like 4 years, and I still have yet to earn my SAG card.
I don't even know how that works. I was just told that like I had to get it now based on the last film I did, and I don't know if it's a Utah rule or something like that with stunt doubling, but I just got told like I have to do it now, and I have to like register myself to the union or whatever. I'm very new in the industry. Like I don't know near as much about that as y'all do. Right. So I've just been talking to the stunt coordinator and they've been telling me all these things I need to fill out or whatever. And I love like working on these sets because like you said, how you were talking about the camera crew and how sometimes you only get one shot to film a scene. There was one I got to watch that was like that. And they were like preparing everyone around. And it was like a shooting scene with a gun. And they were like, this is like a one shot, one taker. Like we're not doing it again. We can't do it again. And they were like, if we have to do it again, we have to get all these permission slips signed again to shoot a gun on set and like blah, blah, blah. So it was really cool to just watch everyone like prepare for that. And like the actors were like rehearsing right before they filmed. Everyone was making sure that like they could nail it, you know? And I just think it's cool that people deal with like anxiety and high pressure situations like in all areas of life. It has nothing to do with being an athlete. It's everywhere.
I mean, even in my situation as an actor, like I've only been on I think that I can remember like one major set, and I was an extra as well. It's actually the first project me and her got to work on. It was this movie about this ASU wrestler. It was called Unstoppable.
It's on Prime.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was like the first, like she was a camera operator for it. I was an extra, but like I was able to make myself like the main extra of the day. Not to cock myself up, but you know what?
It was so great. I was so excited for you.
Yeah, it was a big achievement for me because like it was something that like it wasn't like anybody in the world could get. My agent literally had to call me and be like, do you want to be in this? I need to know now. And then you have to be there at 5 a.m. You're going to be there probably all day. I had no speaking lines or anything, but it was like still one of those things. But even in something like that, it's I don't even that's cool that you were able to do that. But even like on my first thing, it wasn't like a big major set. It was still a student film, but I still remember I was one of the main characters. And the first day that we were on, it was any problem. I just came back from my job. We were just kind of doing our thing. I did my thing, but the next day was a full day. So that wasn't just like a few hours. It was a full day of shooting, full like 13 hours. The first 2 hours leading up to right before cameras, I was in the bathroom dry heaving. I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. I almost had to completely call it quits. I almost had to be like, you know what? At this point, I'm going to have to tell the director she's going to have to get the person that it was between me and him. But then that's when I kicked in my head, but that's when I had to look at myself and I was like, do you know how bad you're going to feel if you end up having to do this? You blow this chance. This is your final, you've been trying to do this. You got this. if you let your anxiety take over to the point where now you have to cancel such an amazing opportunity, are you really going to let your anxiety do that? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to close the toilet. We're going to go out there and I'm just going to do it. If I puke in front of everybody, I puke in front of everybody. We're just going to have to whatever. I mean, like you said, everyone deals with it. And like, I know that in our industries, people don't understand that like we're still human too. We still deal with that every day. She still, I'm sure, feels a lot of anxiety when she's going on to those major sets, even though she's done so many of them. You've been to some of the biggest things, but I'm sure you still deal with that kind of anxiety. I get anxiety every set that I go on. I don't care how big or small it is. I still get that anxiety because I'm like, what if I mess up these lines, or what if I don't see professional, or anything like that. Right. So it's like adding some humanity back into it.
Absolutely.
I want to switch gears a tiny bit, and it's I don't want to like turn too dark, but I know, because just of how everything is, and you being at the caliber that you're at, I want to kind of visit the moment in your life that was kind of, I don't want to say the darkest, but that you were battling the absolute most. I know you were kind of mentioning earlier a little bit about something like that, but I kind of just want to visit that and see like how you were able to pull yourself out, because I know that there's probably someone that's watching this, that's in that rut, that's in that kind of thing of like, I have this thing I want to do, but for some reason, I just cannot seem to get out of this hole. There's just something that's not, like the energy isn't there. I don't know how to get out of it. I don't know how to push myself to get out of there. I could watch all the motivational videos I want. I can do all this, but for some reason, they just can't. So for you, what was like the most challenging, whether it is in your athletic career, personal life, like the biggest adversity that you had to overcome, and like your process of overcoming it?
It's probably has to do with this year. I was in like a very dangerous situation with just someone on my team, and I had to call the cops because I didn't feel safe. And I chose like not to file a police report or anything like that because I just didn't want the reputation on my school to deteriorate at all, because my program is still a great program. That was just not a great person. And that was hands down like the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with, because I guess I was just hoping that like the people in positions of power around me would have done the right thing. Right. And at least not like let that person back on the team, or compete. But that didn't happen. And I had to look at that person every single day from October 26th all the way until the end of the year. And one of the things that really kept me going was just knowing that like I wouldn't have to ever see them again after this year. And we are fighting for the same goal. Like we're both going to go out there and compete and try our best to win, because neither one of us wants to, mess up or lose. And I just had to keep reminding myself that like nothing the coaches do is personal. It's all about what's best for the team. And then I found out recently that person's going to be allowed back for this year too. So I'm going to have to look at them every single day doing what I love for the last year I can. And that's been really, really hard on me to deal with, because for me, I'm just like, this wasn't like a little fight, like I literally felt so unsafe that I had to call the police. Like, and I felt like everyone around me was, what is the right word to say, like minimizing the extremity of the issue, right, to try to make everyone feel more comfortable. And I don't feel like my feelings in it were considered at all, honestly. But again, I don't think there's a single person that has been successful that hasn't gone through hard and like made it out the other side. Oh yeah. And that's like one thing I want to like really just emphasize to everyone is like, if I had gotten to Daytona this year and like crumbled, I would have looked back 10 years from now and been like, why did I let that one event, even though it's still like really hard on me, I would have been so disappointed in myself. I'm letting that one event on October 26th affect the hard work I put in the last 22 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I can look back 10 years from now and be like, I did all of that in spite of what I went through. And I don't even want to say in spite because that's not the right word. But I'm going to say I did all of that like in spite of, not in spite of that person, but in spite of what I went through. And I just think that it shows that like humans are so much stronger than what we think we are. And like that was also the worst anxiety that I've ever had in my life too. I was like getting 2 hours of sleep for probably 2 months after that because I was having nightmares about it, and I was having to go to therapy at 6:30 in the morning because I couldn't sleep, and my therapist was coming to the school like way earlier for me. But again, like I was worried about these same things that we just talked about earlier. Like, are my coaches not going to trust me now? Are they going to think I'm unreliable? And like I was kind of like told in one way or another that like if I can't show up to practice like normal, then I'm not going to be put in the spots that I deserve to be in because they can't put us near each other. And looking back, like I know that that's definitely not the right thing at all, but I still like accepted the reality for what it was. And sometimes that is life. Like, are you going to be, you know, the person that like, and this sounds so bad to say because I don't agree with it at all, but I'm going to say it anyways because this is the reality of a lot of situations. Like, are you going to be the person that makes an issue out of everything? Or are you going to be the person that rolls with the punches and just knows that, like, this is a means to an end, you know? And that's kind of what I had to really do is, like, look at this stuff in the future and understand that if I can get through this now, like, there is no telling what I can get through in the future. Like, life is always going to be hard.
Yeah.
And this is just another hard thing I had to go through. And all these horrible, hard things I had to go through as, like, a child growing up just showed me that, like, it prepared me for this year. Like, I'm not going to go into, like, extreme detail, you know, obviously on the podcast. But, like, it was a horrible year for me. It really was. And like I told you, I was already feeling, like, all these feelings of anxiety and depression and, like, nerves leading up to if people thought me and Josh could do it again and competing, making the U.S. national team. Like, people didn't even have any idea what I was going, like, through outside of cheerleading. And I was having to, like, navigate all of these emotions of uncertainty and, like, just tell myself that, like, God is putting me through this for a reason. And I know that when I'm behind that, like, stage about to go out there, I know I'm going to get what I deserve because I went through so much to get there, you know, like there was nothing more I could have done. And I just know, like, I did everything for a reason, if that makes sense. Like, I went through everything for a reason.
Right.
And that's also been something that's, like, really hard for me. And I know people go through stuff everywhere. Like, if you're a listener that's, like, wondering if you should make this decision or that decision or take this step and that step, like, one, seriously think about this. Is proving a point worth losing an opportunity?
Oh, I love
and that's
that.
kind of and that's, like, what I had to really work through. I'm like, is proving the point that that person did to me was wrong worth losing the chance of not winning with my team this year, you know, or not being out there to experience, like, my second to last year of cheer? To me at the time, no, it wasn't. And that's not going to tell everyone that, like, maybe some people might have something terrible happen to them. Like, you have an assault that happens or something awful on your team. That's not what happened to me, but I'm just using that as an example. Like, obviously, when there's extreme situations, like, sometimes proving a point that was wrong is worth the opportunity. Like, that is not okay. We don't need to allow that to happen, you know. But for me, like, what I went through, for some people, like, honestly, the right step would have been to go to, you know, Title IX a step further. But for me, like, I just know no one wants it as bad as me. I want to walk out and feel proud of myself more than anything. And there's some days I regret my decision of not, like, speaking up because the last thing I would want is for another girl to ever have to go through what I went through. But then again, like, the people that speak up are never the Michael Jordans you hear about. And that's another horrible, horrible stereotype and stigma that you're going to see everywhere you go through it. It doesn't even have to be a sport. Any successful person in any successful firm or field, like, they all go through something. Everyone does, you know? It's like, what are you going to do on the other side? Are you going to use that as a stepping stone or a tombstone? And for me, I just built with that.
Where are you at currently with your mentality, your health? Like in this moment right now, are you in a good spot, do you think, or are you still in that climb to getting to the good spot?
I'm definitely still in a climb. I think it helps me a lot being so athletic. Like this summer, I haven't given myself a break at all like I did last summer. And partly because I found when I keep myself busy, I don't think so much. So I just try to be as busy as possible.
I'm so guilty of that.
Like everyone is, and like there's definitely times where I have like a moment of silence and I still get like flashbacks, but I have to snap myself out of that because there is no possible thing I can do now that's going to change anything that's happened in the past.
Right.
It's all about like moving through it and healing from everything that I had to deal with, and reliving the same day or night over and over again isn't going to change what happened. Like it happened. And like, I think it's important to feel it so that way like how to never feel that way again or ever put yourself in a position for anything like that to happen again, And that's kind of what I've been having to work on is like forgiving myself, I guess, because I felt so guilty for so long for like not speaking up on what happened. And I was like, am I letting people down? Like, am I being a hypocrite right now? Because I'm always so big on speaking up for what's right. And then like, I didn't even do that for myself. But I guess one thing I've had to really learn is like, the world is not in favor of women in a lot of situations. And I've had to learn that. And this isn't even like me trying to be political or anything like that. It's just like straight up black and white. Like when there is things that happen in life and you're the one that's doing the accusing, the person is always innocent until proven guilty. I feel like that's just period, point blank. And to me, it was not worth losing all of these opportunities I had built for myself for one bad thing happening to me. And like we were talking about brand deals, sponsorships, teams that I'm on, like I was not about to not represent the U.S. national team or get dropped by my brand deals because I had a court case going, And to me, I thought about it like this too. Okay, say I won the court case, then what?
Right.
I'm like, okay, I proved my point. You were a bad person. Now what? So to me, it's like nothing would have happened either way.
Right.
And talk about mental health. It's like that. The biggest thing that I guess I learned just talking to my therapist is like, in life, there is not always a win-lose. It's more often a lose-lose, and you just have to pick which loss hurts the least. And for me, going out there and winning Daytona this year, like, it was like my heart got stitched back together. Like, it was the best feeling ever. And no one understood why I was like on all fours crying on that stage. But it was like everything was worth it. It was like my silence was worth it. My like putting aside my feelings for the betterment of the team and the people around me was worth it. And I don't know, like that's just been something that, like you asked me this week on the darkest time, like that really, really was it. And it still is it. And I'm still going to have to keep living that same thing the next year. But I just know that like one day bad people always get revealed. They always do. And it doesn't have to come from me, And that person is not worth me losing everything just to make a point that they were wrong, because they know they're wrong.
Yeah. Was there anything that we didn't touch on that you want to make sure that does get touched on, especially for those who maybe want to go into what you do, or like that maybe look up to you as like a big idol or something? I mean, you have a massive following on social media, you're doing all these cool things. Is there anything that you want to make sure that you do say, or that does get said?
Yes. I would say like a support system is always amazing to have with everything in life. Like, and if you don't feel like you have a support system, you need to be your biggest support system. Because at the end of the day, you cannot rely your happiness on any person, thing, outcome, place. It has to come from within. Because like like disasters happen all the time all around us. And if you put all your happiness eggs into one basket or one outcome, you're never going to be happy, even walking away with the trophy, because then it's like, what's next? Because that trophy at the end of the day is still never going to be enough if you're not happy inside. And that's one of the biggest things that I think like we can all take away from that is like the biggest trophy is looking in the mirror and feeling happy in here.
I love that.
Wow, that's so inspirational. This whole talk has been so inspirational.
I think you do have a
you,
pretty bright
guys.
future as like a inspirational speaker,
Honestly.
like a good TED Talk type of thing. Like you belong on one of those like videos that's just like how to hype someone up and stuff. So that's amazing.
Thank you so much.
Well, Hailey, I'm just like in awe of everything that you've done, especially at such an early age. And it's been so amazing getting to kind of pick your brain a little bit more, especially in this kind of way that a lot of people don't get to see. And I want to say, firstly, thank you for taking the time. I know you're an incredibly busy person and living just an insane life right now. So for being able to take the time to come on here and spread this kind of awareness and talk to us, giving us almost 2 hours of your time that you could be doing anything else in the world. So firstly, thank you for that. But also thank you for the vulnerability that you've been able to share on here, for the openness that you've been able to have. Because I know that it's not easy to talk about a lot of those things, but I do think it's very important that they do get said, because you don't know who's listening and who could connect to what you're saying and who it could affect, what lives it could change. So especially in someone like your position, I think it's such a big thing. So just thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Mine too.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for her. But yeah, thank you so much for all this. And hopefully at some point soon we can do this again in person.
Yay.
Once we get this whole thing off the ground a little bit more and we're able to travel with this, I definitely would love to visit a little bit further down the line, maybe like either right before the next Daytona or after the next Daytona. Hopefully in person to kind of get things going a little bit more and see where everything's at. But otherwise, again, thank you so much for everything on here.
Of course. Thank y'all for having me. And I really, again, appreciate y'all working with my schedule. I know I had to change the dates like twice. So thank y'all so much.
It happens.
Thank y'all for having me.
Of course. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk to you later. We love you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, guys.